Good morning, Big Brother fans. It is Friday, August 29th, day 53 in the Big Brother house. And we have a new head of household. We have one less house guest. And we have the jury plus the two finalists. We just don't know how those names will shake out quite yet. So, what happened yesterday? Well, we had the typical Thursday with a lot of downtime where we didn't see things because the feeds were blocked while the house guests sat around waiting for the house to be prepped and everything to be set up for the live show. And not a lot happened. I mean, there was apparently scrambling going on, but nothing of consequence that I heard or saw. And in the end, the live show kicked off. We did see late in the day Julie's Instagram teased it. I talked about that last night, so that's where we'll pick it up from. The live show she teased the blockbuster competition. So live show kicked off. Lots of recapping. I don't need to talk about what that was because there was nothing to me of that big importance that we haven't talked about before. We got to the blockbuster competition, and as I said yesterday, it was a bunch of 5 little posts or walls that you would put down while a ball rolled down a hill, and you would try to direct the ball depending on the slot you chose to put the posts in. For most of them, you had 3 options. You put it in A, B, or C and it would bounce the ball in a slightly different direction. And so you needed to have all 5 of those in their correct slots for the ball to end up in this final slot, this final, cup at the end of at the bottom of the hill. Which I felt could be a crapshoot. It could be a matter of luck. If someone gets them all right the very first time, then it's over. There's no fixing anything. You're just done. Guess what happened? One of the house guests got them all right on the first try. Actually, and I have not gone back and watched it the second time, but I will trust in those that have. Apparently, Kelly and Ava got it right on the first try. However, Ava was a little bit slower than Kelly in getting them in place. So Kelly won. Ava was second. Not that there is a second place. Not the second place matters. And I'm going to say Lauren. Catherine would have been third, and her ball was ready to go. And I didn't watch it all, and the cameras cut, but it looked like her ball was going to end up going in on her final roll as well. But by that point, both Kelly and Ava's balls were already in the winning location. So yes, so Kelly won. Kelly has now won quite a few blockbuster competitions. She is a comp beast, as they say, like it or not, and she is back for another week. Joining her is one of the other two. So the vote came down to Catherine and Ava. Now, the thought had been Ava is safe. Ava's going to be, anybody that goes up against Ava is in trouble because people will keep Ava. But I thought that might be the opportunity to get out Ava, which is what Catherine suggested when they did their pleas. Look, next week it'll be you against Ava if Ava's so hard to beat. So why don't you get her out now? Well, the house didn't agree with her, or they decided to take the easy way out. And Laura, I keep on calling her Lauren. This is good. She's gone now. Catherine was voted out 7-1. Lauren was the only vote to keep Catherine. So the vote was 7-1. Catherine went out, talked to Julie. There was, look, it was what it was. Julie had to ask the Riley questions, and Catherine, who has no idea what the outside world thinks, was very much like, "Oh no, yes, it's a real thing. I really have feelings for him. I'm anxious to see what there is for us outside the house." She didn't say they were a thing. She just kind of said, "We'll see what happens." But she also didn't say, no, there was some gameplay going on there or anything. She was very sincere. And yes, in all the cringiness. We'll see if she does an interview today or if there are scheduling issues. Because by this point, Catherine probably has talked to her family, who had expressed their at least some of them expressed their dissatisfaction with that relationship online. So I imagine some of them had said, "You will not be talking to Riley." Not that that's necessarily going to stop her, and she probably will. But Riley is supposed to be back at home at this point, and who they probably have talked at this point. I'm just guessing. I don't know, being as it's early in the morning in California, and she's got to do press possibly. We'll see what happens later today if the interviews start showing up, or if the journalists like Mike Bloom and Shannon Tharp say, yeah, CBS says they're having scheduling issues again. The interviews eventually did come out with Riley, by the way. I just didn't bother to read them last week. It was all written interviews, and the consensus by a lot of the fans is that CBS wrote the answers for Riley. So they, it was not an actual talking interview. It was just text interviews. It wasn't over Zoom or over whatever they use. So, head of household. We know who the head of household is. Now, the feeds came back, I think it was probably 10 p.m. I think it was an hour after the show aired on the West Coast. So it was after 1 a.m. Eastern, or 1-ish a.m. Eastern, when the feeds finally came back to a fairly quiet house. House guests sitting around the dining room table, house guests playing chess, and took us a while to figure out who won. The first thing we did, or I did too, and I wasn't the only one, was a quick head count. Who's not in the shot? Because often the head of household is the first one in the dining room to talk to production. And who we didn't see on the cameras were, I think it was, I didn't see Ava at first, didn't see Kelly, and I didn't see Keanu. And then I saw Ava, still didn't see Kelly, still didn't see Keanu. And then Ashley grabbed Rachel, and they went in the bathroom talking, or it was Ashley or Morgan? Morgan grabbed Rachel, and they're in the bathroom talking, and we hear them talk and realize that Keanu is the one who won head of household. The competition, thanks to Dingo's site, Hamster Watch, it apparently was, I think she said videos of themselves, but I'd heard it was a true-false. I'd heard them talk about Morgan or Ashley or somebody talk about true-false, and that Ashley said she got 5 out of 7 correct. So it sounds like I would call it a phone booth competition where they're looking, but it could have been a course where they run a course and answer questions individually, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. No, because they talked about how quick people were out. So I think they were all together at the time it happened. So I'm going to guess a phone booth type. But point is, Keanu won it. That's all you need to know. And now the question is, who's Keanu going to put up? People at first were in a panic online. At least some of them were. I don't know why. Rachel was she had a very fretful look on her face. It was like, oh, Rachel's worried. Well, she doesn't know what we know. And what we know, as I have talked about multiple times in the last week or two, is Keanu ain't going after Rachel. He needs somebody else to take Rachel out. Because he wants to be the one who takes out Rachel's, assassin, as it were. So I didn't think last night that Rachel was in any danger, and I said as much. And sure enough, this morning, as I prepared for the day and did a quick listen to what the heck's going on in the house or scan, and it sounds like Keanu is thinking of going after Morgan as his main primary target, which is most likely because he sees Morgan as the closest person to Vince, who is one of the people that Keanu has kind of seen as an ally. So Vince has really been trying to stay close with Rachel and Vince, Keanu has been trying to stay close to Rachel and Vince. And of course, they're kind of on opposite sides of the house in some ways, and so Vince is Rachel. So let me start over. Keanu's been doing this dance between Rachel and Vince, trying to stay on both of their good sides. They are kind of on opposite sides of the house, so Keanu's doing this back and forth thing. Vince is doing a back and forth thing between multiple people. Rachel tends to grab the people that are kind of the outcasts and cling on to them, because a lot of her close allies tend to get voted out of the house. This was not one of her close allies, by the way, but it has happened previously. So it looks like Keanu is trying to take out one of Vince's close allies, because Lauren is a close ally, Morgan is a close ally, and some would say Keanu is a close ally to Vince, although I don't know if Vince would say that. But he's apparently, it sounds like, going to nominate Morgan, Mickey, and then the question is he going to nominate Vince? And he had a discussion, he had a talk with Vince last night. Vince was apparently in tears, upset, worried, concerned. He was shown on TV, on the TV show last night, in a similar conversation about something, about, from other things, where he was in tears, upset, very concerned, and I think Vince is going to end up nominated. I think Keanu's justification was, you would save Morgan if you win the power veto, so I need you to not have that as an option. In other words, I need you on the block so that you'll be more interested in saving yourself with the power veto as opposed to saving Morgan. And even though he kind of backed down a little bit and said, well, we'll see, with all of Vince's crying and gnashing of teeth and being upset, he said, well, maybe I'll put up Ava instead of you. I think when push comes to shove, he will still put up Vince. And but we'll figure it out later today. We'll know more this morning and get a better idea. Nominations won't be until late in the afternoon, most likely. And so we've got lots of time to figure it out. But it sounds like really Mickey, Morgan, and most likely Vince will be the nominees. And what at one point Keanu said last night, or early this morning, however you want to look at it, that his backup nomination, his renom option, would be Ava if one of them comes off the block. Because, once again, Ava is seen as the safe nom that won't get voted out because no one's going to vote out Ava. Sense a pattern here. It used to be Kelly that was, well, Kelly wasn't. Kelly was the nom that was supposed to go, and she never did. So, yeah, Will and Ava are the safe bets, the safe nominees. Bring them to the end, because no one will vote them out until we decide to vote them out. I don't know. We'll see. That's what's up, guys. Oh, they did do have-nots again. They did have-nots again. The outgoing have-nots were supposed to pick the incoming have-nots, but everyone volunteered. Matter of fact, Rachel volunteered, and the House said, no, you did it 2 weeks in a row, the first 2 weeks, so somebody else needs to take it. And Vince and Kelly are the only two that have not been have-nots, and so they did rock, paper, scissors, and Vince lost. So Vince is a have-not, and I do not remember who else the have-nots are. I'll tell you later. It's I think Ashley. No, Ashley isn't, because Ashley just was. I think Lauren is one, and now I can't remember the third. It could be Morgan. It's possible, but I'm not sure, and it's not that important. Other than they don't get to eat well, right? They're stuck on their steel-cut oats and condiments, which is a really, really broad term in the Big Brother house. So that is what's up as far as the house status, right? Yep. We'll get more to you maybe this afternoon. We'll see if something changes. If it's not going to be Vincent, Morgan, and Mickey as the nominees, maybe I'll do one later today. Otherwise, I'll talk to you at some point this weekend. Power veto. Oh, Angela is going to come back from last season. Angela will come back to, I don't know if she's hosting the power veto or if she's just going to, be in the room or do a recording and post a recording. Maybe she won't come down the stairs. They tend to keep them separate unless they change something up. They haven't been having house guests come into the house. They haven't had people come into the house with the house guests since COVID. Hey there, and you will have noticed that my voice has suddenly changed. I'll explain that after I finish my thoughts. So, I'm not sure where I'm going to cut this in, but if I say Kelsey anywhere before this, that was a mistake. I should have said Casey. So, Casey did come into the house when she was doing the power veto thing, so forget about that. They don't let the house guests mix with others. Apparently they do now. Anyways, so Angela may come in and mix with them. We don't know. We'll see. The other thing is the mastermind or whatever character is saying, they said it's going to be back on Thursday night with some kind of an offer for the house guests or an invitation. And as they say in the Big Brother house, hold for plane. There's a plane flying over here. Oh, this is my life today. Anyways, they said there's going to be some kind of an invitation presented or offer to the house guests. We're not sure what it is, but the jury will start next Thursday, and the mastermind will do something. Whether the house guests see it or not, we don't know. But if they don't, we will, and something big change will happen, and I'll probably be annoyed. Maybe they'll get thrown in the backyard. Maybe they'll split the house up. Just not sure. But I'm going to finish this up and sign off now as a second plane, doesn't have a banner behind it, comes by. You guys have a good rest of your Friday, and I will talk to you later today if the nominations go any way other than expected, which again, one last time, is Morgan, Mickey, and most likely Vince. So finally, the noise. Why is my voice different? Well, the answer is because my Spreaker subscription expired a couple of days ago, but I talked less than 15 minutes each time, which is the free limit. And today I went over that limit, so I had to fix it. And they gave me a discount coupon, actually, and so I used it, and I have resubscribed, and we're back to being able to go over 15 minutes. So there you go. That's the answer. And obviously, I'm standing near an airport the way all these planes are flying overhead, and so I'm going to sign off. I will talk to you guys sometime this weekend. If the nominations are anything other than Mickey, Morgan, and Vince, I will talk to you later today. Be well, everybody. Thanks for your support. Take care. Bye-bye.